Hey y'all, welcome back. We're in the greenhouse again, the window greenhouse, because it is going to be raining any minute here according to my forecast. It is 66 degrees here in the middle of December. Today is December the 15th, I think, which if you're watching this, it's probably December the 16th because that's when this video will get uploaded. But yeah, a little warm. I'm in my t-shirt and my sandals out here, and it is supposed to start raining any minute. So I thought we'd just come into the greenhouse and talk a little bit about crop planning for the market garden. So if you've been following along with us any length of time, you know that we are new market gardeners here at BerkeleyFarm. This last summer season was our first season in the market garden world. We learned a whole lot, and one of the big lessons we learned was that crop planning and planning for your season is going to make or break you. So it is middle of December, like I said, and it's months and months away before we actually plant for the summer season, but we're already planning for that season now because we want this second summer season to be even better than the first. And before I get started, let me preface this by saying that these are just things that I've learned the past year. I don't know if I really believe that there's a right way or a wrong way. There's a million different ways you can do it, but these are just a few things that I feel like are going to help us out as we move into the next season. So the biggest piece of advice I think I could give you is something that we're kind of transitioning with right now, and that is to know your market, okay? So before you ever start planning your market garden, you really need to have an idea of who you're gonna sell to. Who's your ideal customer? Is it like a CSA or a farmer's market, direct-to-consumer style? And if it is, chances are you're probably going to want a decent variety of stuff to offer, especially if it's a CSA box or a CSA subscription. People are going to want variety on a weekly basis or however often you're offering that CSA box. Same with farmer's market. A lot of times if you have a nice variety, lots of color at your farmer's market booth, chances are you're really going to draw in your audience and you're going to have a better market that way. If you're selling wholesale, you're probably going to want to have a large quantity of fewer items. So you don't necessarily need the huge variety of items, but you're going to want to have a larger quantity. So really knowing your market up front is going to set you up for success. You're going to know what you need to plant, how much of what you're planting, and it's just going to make you a little more successful as the season goes on. We are kind of in transition with that right now on our farm. If you watched any of our previous videos, you know that we really wanted to do the direct-to-consumer route. We sold quite a few. We had a pretty successful summer season, selling at a few farmers markets and then just selling direct-to-consumer by word of mouth. However, we're starting to kind of transition into that wholesale style, and we are in conversation with a few restaurants around town. We're kind of in a bind right now, however, because right now in the middle of December, they're running all of their end of year numbers. They're looking at costs. They're looking at what they need. So they're not really able to offer us a lot of information on what they would want grown and how much they would want grown. And so far, what we've gotten is we've set up a lot of meetings for the beginning of the year. So January 2022, we're going to be meeting with a lot of restaurants talking about what they want from us and what they would expect. So that does kind of put us in a bind right now because I'm not 100% sure what we're going to be growing. I've got some ideas in the back of my mind. We're still wanting to do direct to consumer a little bit, but I really want to try out that wholesale market as well. So we're kind of waiting there. So if you're thinking about wholesale style, selling to restaurants or whatever that looks like, I would get in talks with those people now and try to get on their books, set up meetings with them, and just know that, a lot of those companies and restaurants and things are running their end of year numbers right now. And there's a good chance that they're not going to get back with you or not going to be able to meet with you until the beginning of 2022. And like I said earlier, I know it's the middle of December, and thinking about the summer garden kind of seems like this distant thing. You really need to be thinking about ordering seeds now. It's no secret that we have shortage supplies all over, and in the gardening, farming world, that's no different. We have a huge shortage of seeds and supplies and things. So it's really time to start thinking about getting those seeds in now, because you don't want to get yourself in a situation where it's time to start seeds. You go to order them and they're out of everything or a lot of what you wanted. That goes back to knowing your market. So if you know your market, you know what you're going to grow, you know roughly how much you're going to want to grow of those things, and that's going to save you a lot of money when it comes time to order seeds. If you're anything like me, it gets really exciting, but it also gets really overwhelming, and it's really easy to overspend on seeds. So if you go into it without a real plan of knowing what you're going in to buy, it's really easy just to buy a few extra of this or a few extra of that, or think, oh, I'm going to try out this new variety. And then next thing you know, you've way overspent on seeds that you're not ever going to use. So it's really important to know going into buying seeds, to know exactly what you're going to buy, how much you're going to buy. And that goes all back to who's your market, what are you trying to sell, who are you selling to, and how much you think that they're going to buy from you. If you're planning on buying plant starts, it's the same thing. So you could even get yourself into more trouble buying plant starts, because plant starts are more expensive than seeds, right? You go into a nursery come spring when all the plant starts are coming in. Those things are like, $3-4 a piece. And if you don't have a plan and you just go in, it gets really exciting to see all those plant starts and to just buy and think that you're going to plant all of those things, when in reality, you may not even have the room for them, or you may not have the market for them. Know your customer, know what you're growing, and know how much you're growing. We talk about knowing how much we're growing. That gets really overwhelming too. So it's really important to know, how big is your gardening space? How big are your beds? How long are they? How wide are they? How many tomato plants can you fit in, your one bed or two beds, or however many beds of tomatoes you're planting? And there's all sorts of really cool software and apps and things out there that can really help you lay that out if you know your bed size. However, I'm a pen and paper kind of girl, and this right here is how I plan all of my beds out, is with graph paper. So what I generally do is take a sheet of graph paper just like this. I know how big my beds are out in the tunnel. I have an idea of what my customer base looks like and how much I want to grow, and I just draw it out on the graph paper, and that tells me exactly how many plants I need. So if I'm going to buy plant starts, I know going into a plant sale how many I need. I also, because I know my market, I know my customer, I know what varieties I'm getting. Okay, so I'm not going to go in there, I'm not going to overspend on plants that I don't even have space to plant for. So know your market, know what your planting space looks like, know exactly what kind of seeds you're going to order for what varieties, or what kind of plants you're going to buy and what varieties and how many, so you're not overspending unnecessarily, right? Because if you're market gardening, you're in it to make a profit. It's not just a hobby anymore. You're trying to make a business out of it. So it's really important to have things planned out. Another thing you really need to start thinking about when it comes to shortages that we're seeing are, y'all, these are terrible looking. These are the ones that got left in the greenhouse and they're all melted, which is a little devastating. But your supplies, you need to start thinking about ordering your supplies now. So if you're starting your seeds yourself, you're not going to be buying plant starts. You probably want to think about ordering your containers and your trays or your soil blockers, grow lights, grow mats, racks to put all your stuff on, all different things that you might need to buy. You need to think about getting those now. You don't want to think about it last minute, go to order it last minute and they're out of things or there's shipping delays, and then your whole season is behind then. So another huge piece of advice I would give you is something that I failed miserably at this last year, and that is taking detailed notes of your season as the season is going on. That's something I intended to do last season. I started off strong. I did it well. And then as the season went on, I just got a little lazy with it. Things got busy. I thought, that's not a huge piece of information, or that is a really huge piece of information that I need to remember. I'll remember that in my head. And then of course, time comes to look back on my notes and there's a lot of gaps and missing things in there that I really need to know, but I didn't write it down and I don't remember it like I thought I would. But live and learn. I'll take better notes this coming year. And I won't let that slip again, because I know now how crucial and how vital it is to have those things stored away on a piece of paper, not in my head. Even if it's on your phone, if you're making notes on your phone as you're working throughout the day, that's so helpful. But yeah, take notes. Even things that seem so minuscule and not important, take a note of it. It will set you up for success in the following years for sure. So there's a lot of good resources out there on crop planting. These are just things that I've picked up from this last year, really. And then I've also watched a ton of YouTube videos on crop planting. There's so many good videos out there about different tips and tricks and just different things that people have learned as they've gone along through the years. But then a couple of good books that have really good information about crop planting. The New Organic Grower by Eliot Coleman. This is like a market gardener's Bible right here. This is such a good book. If you don't have it, I would recommend it. These two books here were the first two I ever bought before we ever started our market garden. And then I always say his name wrong, but this is The Market Gardener by Jean-Martin Fortier. I hope I'm saying his name right. But two legit market gardeners that know their stuff. So successful. There's a lot of really good information in these books. I'll link them down below. But they do have specific chapters in there about crop planting. So I would definitely, whatever they say, I would do it because they know what they're talking about. Okay, y'all, I got to get some chores done. I got to run out there and open that tunnel up. I got to uncover these ranunculus. I still have to feed animals. It's still supposed to rain any minute now. And I've got to get my children to the dentist. I wish you happy planning if you are in the midst of planning your, even if it's just a personal home garden, if it's not a market garden. I hope you're having fun with that. Don't let it be too overwhelming. Have some fun with it. Be creative. And I wish you well. We'll see you next time.